hurricanes strike the American mainland in the month of November. But this one, Nicole, also seizing on a chronic vulnerability along the Florida coastline, eroding beaches. Striking in the blackness of night as a Category 1 hurricane, Nicole triggered widespread power outages and left some homes and structures literally on the edge in Volusia County, sending others crashing into the sea as the land below them simply washed away. At least 2 deaths attributed to Nicole. Now downgraded to a tropical storm, the system is tracking toward the northeast, promising heavy rains for millions in its path. We'll get the latest track in just a moment, but first to Florida and Kerry Sanders. Kerry, what's the latest there?
Lester, the bridges to the barrier islands in the impact zone are closed to deputies, even preventing those who evacuated from coming back to their homes. There is a curfew in place tonight to prevent any looting. This is those who were in the impact zone are coming to grips with the fact that this is a major catastrophe. No one expected this after a Category 1. On the Florida Atlantic coast, much of the beach in Volusia County is gone, washed away by a 5-foot storm surge. As the sand disappeared, the foundations for waterfront homes crumbled.
This house just fell down.
The seawater piled higher and higher by 75-mile-per-hour winds, and at daybreak an unusually high tide, thanks to the almost full moon. In Brevard County, a man who rode out the storm on his boat had to be rescued after holding on for dear life when his 3 anchors broke loose.
This is my first hurricane, but this one took me down.
The fury taking down piers and eroding hundreds of miles of coastline. Access roads to the beach and palm trees gone. Since as far back as cars were a thing, cars have been allowed along these 300-foot wide beaches. Now, that beach is underwater. It looks like people built on cliffs here.
They didn't build on cliffs. Actually, from the house, they had about 60 feet of backyard, then a seawall or sand dune, and then 100 more feet of beach before you hit water. So we're at sea level here. This was absolutely unforeseeable for these people.
Before the storm made landfall, I'd been inside that house. As Nicole approached, the sand had been as high as we are right now, at the same level. But then that first tide came in, and what was a patio 30 feet out just washed away. And where I was standing is now gone. The foundations of as many as 19 buildings here show signs of being undermined. Building inspectors say 7 condos and hotel buildings and as many as 40 homes will have to be torn down. State Senator Tom Wright says residents here are already wondering, can the state and federal governments dredge sand to backfill what was lost?
I think what we ought to do is we got to figure out a way to stop this cycle, because it's just money that we spend and then it goes away, and we spend huge amounts of money and bring it back.
Emergency managers in Florida tonight say there are at least 2 storm-related deaths by electrocution from downed power lines. With Ian, a Category 4 hurricane 6 weeks ago, Florida was already weary. And now Nicole. The hurricane season ends in 20 days. If Mother Nature abides that timetable, Floridians say this year, not soon enough. Kerry Sanders, NBC News, Volusia County, Florida.
And this storm still has a lot of punch left as it makes its way north of